One, two, three. Nathaniel, are you and David ready? Hey everybody, this is Talking Bibles. I'm joined here today by my good friend David Lee Brown. He is a YouTuber and pastor of SA Tabernacle, the House of Prayer, author, husband, father, all those good things.
Hey y'all.
Hey y'all. David's in Texas. He's a southerner like me, so you get a little that twang in this episode. So look, I want to talk about something. The last video I saw that you'd published was the 2020 edition of the NASB from Lockman. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have yet to read the 2020 or give it a fair shake, so I really don't want to speak negatively about it. I love the 95 though. I really love the 95. Can you tell me your pros and cons from what you've read in the 2020 in comparison to the 95?
So I like the 2020, but it does not replace the 95 for me.
So they're like two separate translations.
They really are, and what put it over the edge was just new translation update, new footnotes. So on one side, I think that's valuable. I'll get 2020s out the wazoo. If that's going to replace my preaching Bible, my main study Bible, honestly, I highly doubt it at this point because I have so much going for me in the 95. I think I'm most excited, honestly, about the footnotes. To see what new footnotes. And what made me notice it was there's footnotes I'm used to seeing as I was reading through it that they were missing. But there's some new ones in there. Yeah.
They were super helpful for me to give a little different perspective on a scripture. It lets you see it from and I compare it to seeing a diamond rotate, and you just see different facets, giving you perspective that helps you properly understand, the full depth, full width, full magnitude of a certain scripture.
For me, I just look at it as another translation that I'll check and look through and stuff. So again, I'm not looking to replace the 95, but I'm not going to dog the 2020. I do still read the old 70s versions of the New American Standard too. Adrian at AE Bibles is rebinding one of my old Moody Press Bibles for me that I should have this month or next month, and I'll be doing a video.
Awesome.
So I'm excited to have that rebound because that's honestly one of my main, most treasured Bibles, and I got it for $3 at Half Price Books.
Amazing. Hey, I love great Bible deals, man. That's amazing. Hey, and Adrian, holy smokes, his work is amazing.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him before he contacted me last year to do a Bible for me, and I think what I like about his work the most is he wants to make it look like the ones that you can buy at Schuyler or Allen. I haven't seen too many rebinds in person, so I don't know if I would be a good person to compare. I really like Adrian's work because he gets really darn close or surpasses what I'm used to seeing in Allen or Schuyler.
From what I've seen on the videos and photos from AE, it's very similar, and this is one of the highest forms of praise I could give you. It's very similar to Diego Coloca style. Very, very similar with the smaller fold over, the really tiny pleats, the proportioned yap, the style of contour. It looks very, very similar to Diego Coloca Jr. From Coloca Bibles. And Diego's not even rebinding anymore, so he really kind of fills that void. And another great one is Nick from Lion and Lamb. He's in Canada. But you have so many great rebinders that are just kind of doing their thing right now. But it seems like AE really has his stuff together. He has kind of his own unique look. They look great. The ones that I've seen look amazing.
He learned from Diego, so they're kind of chums.
Okay, that makes sense then. So you see the 2020 as a separate translation from the 1995, and I kind of get that because I don't want to prematurely dog the 2020, but if you compare the NASB with the NIV, you're going to only really find the faults. But if you just see those as separate things for separate purposes, it allows you to kind of appreciate the positives of both translations, even though they're both called the NASB. I do agree, like the HCSB and the CSB, that was as drastic of a change as the NASB 95 and the NASB 2020. But Holman actually just dropped the H from the HCSB and called it the Christian Standard Bible.
I've enjoyed it, but I haven't been able to spend tons and tons of time in it because just have history and some of my other ones.
I got you. You guys in the comments, can you let us know if you've read the 2020? What are your takes on the 2020 NASB? Most folks that I've talked to really prefer the 95. And that's probably because, like David said, he's got time in it. He's got investment in it. It's been 25 years spent with this translation, and it has been kind of a mother. You know, it's just kind of rocked you to sleep at night. You don't want to just throw it to the curb for the next newest thing. But if you've read the 2020, let us know what you think about it in the comments section.
Like when you move away from your hometown, and then you come back 5 or 10 years later, it's like, okay, these streets are familiar, but that building's new, and that's new.
A great point. When I watched your review that's up on your channel of the first NASB 2020 you got, that was like such a great analogy, you know, because everybody can relate to that. You know, this seems familiar, but I see stuff that I don't recognize, you know, and that doesn't mean it should be negative. It's just new.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's bad. Talking about Bibles, I want to talk about Bibles for reading and Bibles for study. Is there a difference between the two, in your opinion, or are those interchangeable?
I think you could do either and both. For me, my first nice Bible was a Cambridge Wide Margin.
Did you buy your Cambridge Wide Margin because of Matt's review?
No, honestly,
No.
I'd been saved maybe a year. Right after I got saved, I got my first New American Standard, and it was one of those $20 pocket Bible or whatever. My wife got a little bit bigger one, and but they were like the $20, $30 Bibles at the Christian bookstore. My wife's using them. We're both using our Bibles, and then after about a week, she had pages falling out of hers. Yeah. After about 2 months, like my cover's coming off the binding. I'm just like, what the heck? And we went through a move. We moved from Montana to San Antonio. And when I got to San Antonio, I don't know where this came from. I just had it in me like goatskin Bible. So I Googled goatskin Bible, and Bible Design Blog poked up.
Yeah.
And
Mark Bertrand
popped up. Yeah. And so that was like, you know, the Lord saved me out of so much, like porn, cigarettes, alcohol, and stuff. And so, like, I felt like the Bible Design Blog helped sanctify my mind for pornography, because I was on there all the time, like looking at pictures of Bibles. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And so I got a wide margin, and it was great for study, room for notes and stuff. I mean, I wrote all over that thing. And then I started preaching, and I started trying to preach out of it. Well, it's small font, paragraph format, and my notes and things are just crazy. And so I'd be like, turn to this verse, and I'm like staring at the Bible like, where is it? And so I got a Allen Reader's New American Standard.
Yeah.
I've been preaching from that thing since.
All right, tell me about your take on the New Preacher's Bible from, it's not really new anymore, but the Preacher's Bible from Steadfast.
That's my favorite Bible ever put together.
Isn't it awesome?
It's
Isn't it
awesome.
Great?
If it had footnotes and notebook paper, it would be untouchable.
Yeah. If it had the footnotes and notebook paper, that would be legit. Now, I tore it a new one on my review because I thought the cover quality was lacking, and there wasn't enough spine support for such a large, heavy block. But you know, thinking about it retroactively,
the big one?
The big one, it's almost like not necessary because it's not going to be moved much. It's going to be sitting in the same spot. You know, it's not super portable. So really the need for such support on the spine is probably not necessary. And I thought the goat skin, which is, it's an imprinted goat skin. The goat skin just wasn't quite to the same level that I was hoping, because I was probably expecting more of like an R.L. Allen or a Skylar, where they use a natural grain goat skin from Youngblood, or something that has more of a higher level of luxury, because the price of the Bible was a couple $100, but really you've come to find that money goes into the block.
Yeah, into the
money
paper
that you're spending is on that brick of paper that it's made from.
Yeah, which is amazing paper. I've written in it a lot, and every time I go to write in it, I feel like it's going to just smear and ink's going to run because it's such a glossy finish, but the ink sticks and the pen glides really nice. It's really nice paper to write on.
What do you use for writing? What's your pen game like?
Still just the Pigma Micron 005s and Sharpie for yellow highlighters and Bics for all the other colors.
Do you have any Bibles that you have just for reading, just for kind of casual, grab it off the shelf to read from? Or are you pretty much every time you grab a Bible, you're in study mode?
It goes back and forth because sometimes my mind needs a break from wanting to dissect everything and color in everything. And so I have what I call cuddle Bibles. And I'll just take a yellow highlighter because I still want that just point of interaction with the scripture to keep it a right and left brain activity. And so I have Bibles. I think the first brick Quintel, that blue one that I have, it's mostly yellow. My wife makes fun of me. She's like, man, what's the point of highlighting if you're going to highlight all of it? And I'm like, well, it's all good. And so in those Bibles, I don't care about the color code. I don't care how much or how little yellow or whatever. I'm highlighting it. Honestly, I haven't found anything better that I like to read than the Quintel, because I still like the flow of the double column, but what the Quintel gives is just beautiful font, line matching in a paragraph format, and where they place the footnotes and the cross references and how they pop out. I've never read a reference system that is just so efficient. The Quintel to me just is hands down the best reader ever. Even the other readers that Skylar's come out with, I like them, and I know people are into them, but still, for me, nothing reads better than the Quintel.
So what I'm hearing is, when you preach, you like a verse by verse, i.e. the Allen Reader or your Steadfast Preacher's Bible. But when you want to sit down and cuddle or spoon with a Bible, you're going to have a Quintel.
Yes.
That's your jam.
Yes.
You have the PSQ. Do you like the full size or the PSQ better?
I'm a full size guy. I sold one of the PSQs. I still have that brown one that was in the video. My wife loves her PSQ. She is tearing up that Bible. By
the way, everybody, I'm hoping to have Allie Brown on the show talking about art journaling at some point. I love Allie. She's amazing. I just kind of want to give her a shout out. Allie, you can hear me. I love you. Do this episode. You want to do it. You definitely want to do it.
I'll put in a good word for you.
Yeah, please do. Please do. Put in a good word for me, David. I'm dependent on you, buddy. And by the way, I saw your picture on Facebook, and I told you outkicked your coverage. That is 100% true. As much as I love you, she is fantastic.
Yeah.
You did good, bro.
Thank you. I love her. We were at a party when I was in the Air Force right before we got married, and I took her over to our flight sergeant's house. Everyone afterwards, I go back to work, they're like, dude, how did you get her? You are ugly.
How did this happen? Funny.
I don't know. I built her a cake. I buy her things.
Gifts work good. Tell her you love her, encourage her. That kind of stuff works. So, rolling back, we were talking about preaching Bibles and reading Bibles, and we talked about the Steadfast Preacher's Bible. I want to go back to Steadfast. Let's talk about the Steadfast publishing and how they've come along since the production, the 316 publishing, since the production of the Preacher's Bible, and kind of what they've produced since then. I personally have reviewed the children's Bible, and it's fantastic. It's amazing. But I haven't reviewed any of the other productions from Steadfast. Can you kind of give me your take on Steadfast as a publisher?
Wow. So you haven't seen the handy-sized Preacher's Bible?
No, I haven't.
I'm a little bit shocked.
They haven't sent me any review editions, and I don't really spend a lot of money on Bibles because I have so many that I have to review from other publishers that already sent them to me. So I don't really spend money on Bibles that much. I know that sounds crazy coming from a premium Bible reviewer. So my budget, I haven't really spent the money to get them. I have seen the handy size in person. I have not reviewed it, and I haven't really spent a ton of time with it. But it looks fantastic.
It's hands down, again, just my favorite Bible. So seeing where
Really?
they've come from, and I really feel like they've made a name for themselves. They've come a long way, but they're not afraid to kind of start small and maybe a little bit different. And what I mean by that is where they were binding the Lockman text blocks in their covers and stuff. And those turned out nice enough. I mean, they were unique. I have one of the first two-tone ones, and I enjoy it. But and then the first Preacher's Bible, I really liked it, but I liked it for the paper. Like, it's a good rebind candidate. Hadn't fallen apart on me yet, but honestly, since the handy size came in, I'm using that one. I feel like reviews like your review and some of the feedback that they got, they really listened, and they made some major changes fast.
When publishers listen to the consumers, only good things come. When you're a publisher and you think you know it all, and you don't change with the times, you're gonna get extinct. That's what's gonna happen, because publishing is one of those fields, one of those industries where you could be thriving one minute, and if people don't buy your products, you gone. The market is not diversified enough to where you can make money in so many different areas to survive making poor products for long. So seeing Steadfast come in and pay attention to what the market says, the response they get from reviewers, the response they get from their customers, and make those changes. Like you said, they went from rebinding Lockman text blocks that had a lot of ghosting and that same tired layout and all these things, and then they reproduce the handy size. Then they have, the large Preacher Bible second edition that has improvements. Those indicators show the customer, show the consumer that they're being listened to. And I've talked about this with Zondervan and Thomas Nelson. They're very good at doing that. So those publishers really should be commended, and we should be more willing to spend our money with them. So even though I haven't really bought one from Steadfast, I'm still promoting Steadfast because of how obvious it is that they have listened to their customers.
I mean, it's obvious, and it shows in their products. And the handy size Preacher's Bible, man, like all you got to say is young blood.
It looks good.
And the paper that they put in, and I feel like, I don't know if anyone expressed it, but I feel like we all kind of had this secret desire in our heart of, like, man, Alan and Skylar should make a baby.
And it would be Steadfast.
And here it is. It's the Steadfast handy size Preacher's Bible. With probably one of the most useful text blocks to me personally ever. You got the yap and the spine hubs. Like, what the heck? This is amazing.
That's right. Well, tell me, you've reviewed the Bible I call the Czar, which is the Zondervan single column reference, NASB. What's your take on that Bible? Because I love that Bible.
It's really big. It's kind of up there with the new Skylar wide margin in my mind. So it's more of like a student at home on your desk study Bible. If you're going to bring it in the pulpit, you better have one heck of a pulpit. It won't fit on my pulpit.
Not a little glass shelf. You're going to have something with some meat to it. Some muscle.
And the only thing to me is just like, man, the gutter and the weak footnotes package.
It's a little deep in the gutter. It is. And the thing is, I think as it breaks in more, that gutter's going to flatten out a little bit more. So I have a little bit better hope for, as the Bible breaks in, it's going to have a little more readability in the gutter. But you're right. You can't change the footnote issue, which, if anybody doesn't know, they don't have the full footnote suite in the Czar. And that is kind of a shame. It would be such an amazing addition, because that's one of the main things people hit as kind of a negative. Let's do another lightning round with my buddy David Lee Brown and Mustache Nathaniel. I guess we could do Dale Earnhardt Jr. No, I'm going to hit this topic. We're going to talk about it. The Office or Parks and Rec?
See, I was always more of an Office fan, but
Okay.
I feel
I like Parks and Rec.
I feel like The Office crashed and burned at the end, where I feel like Parks and Rec finished better.
Yeah, without Steve Carell, it just wasn't the same. I
Yeah.
mean, Andy did good, but it just wasn't the same, you know. And for me, Parks and Rec had a closure to it that was like future. It went into the future, you know. And I love Ron Swanson. That's like my spirit animal is Ron Swanson, and I love him. And he's just so funny. Just his dry humor. You know, it's just funny to see the interaction between a libertarian and liberals and conservatives. It's like seeing that political mix. I love Parks and Rec kind of for that reason. But The Office is such an amazing show. I love The Office too. You really can't go wrong. But you're going to pick The Office and be wrong, and that's fine if you want to be wrong. Favorite Office character?
Oh man,
Is it not Dwight?
you know, that's a hard one. Everyone loves Jim, and that's such an easy answer. I feel like as I'm getting like older, I know I look like a young guy, but we have a lot of people that are younger than me in the ministry, and it's kind of weird. So I feel like honestly, I have some Michael Scott moments inadvertently,
Yeah.
and so I
I'm
feel
not
like I relate to
superstitious,
him.
but I'm a little stitious.
I'm a little
you know.
stitious.
I'm a little stitious.
So I feel like I have some real, genuine Michael Scott moments.
I'm kind of more of a Dwight fan just because I love his arc. From where he was to where he ended up, it was just, I love it. Who's your favorite Parks and Rec character? Andy.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
definitely Andy.
Yeah.
And funny story, when that show came out, I had a friend who acted just like him already. And
Really?
I'm like, man, you need to sue these people for identity theft. And so,
They took your character, buddy.
yeah, and he's here in the prayer room with us. And I've known him for a while. And so I feel like I have my own personal Andy.
Yeah, I wish I had my own personal Andy because that would be awesome. We would never stop laughing. It would be the best.
And we don't.